Well, it's Friday, so you know what that means. Mandalorian Day. Yes, that's exactly right. Yes. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel once again. As always, I am Robert Storms. Do me a big favor, guys, hit that like button in the video, and if you're new to the channel or a long time watcher but not yet a subscriber, hit that subscribe button because it also helps me out a hell of a lot. So today is Friday, which means it's Mandalorian Day, a day we all look forward to now, at least until the season's over, and then I start slipping into depression and I'm not gonna know what to do with myself, and I don't want to think about it. Okay, so episode 5 of The Mandalorian, what did I think? I don't know. I kind of had my ups and my downs, and then my ups again, and then my downs again, to be honest with you. If you look at the episode as a whole, I think it's easy to say that nothing major happens in this episode, except for, unless you want to count the last 2 seconds of the episode. But I think this episode pretty much establishes that, look, he is on the run. He has guild members that are after him because now he has become basically an outlaw to the guild and everybody's hunting him down. So we see more of that. We start off with the space battle, which I thought looked really, really good. But I think the cap of the episode, or the thing that made me excited about the episode, was when he was landing on this planet and they're like, Mos Eisley Air Tower or Airport, and I'm like, oh my god, it's Mos Eisley, we're going back to Tatooine. And I think that automatically made a lot of people excited. Like, if you didn't like go, oh my god, in the first like 5 minutes of this episode, then I don't know, like, that's sort of what the complaint has been, right? It's like, oh, why aren't we going back to these legendary planets? Oh, because if they do, they have to pay George Lucas a percentage for using his creation. Even though they bought his company, they already have the rights to use it. Whatever. But anyway, we go to Tatooine, we go to Mos Eisley, and I'm like, oh, right. And me, as a major canon junkie, a book reader, I'm like, oh my god, this could really go down really quickly. Because if you're not aware, in the Aftermath trilogy written by Chuck Wendig, there's a bunch of interludes that takes place within that trilogy that takes place on Tatooine. And as you guys know, Boba Fett fell in the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi on Tatooine. Well, in the Chuck Wendig Aftermath trilogy, the Sarlacc has been ripped open, and we don't know what happened to Boba Fett. But the Jawas on Tatooine has Boba Fett's armor, and they sell it to a guy by the name of Cobb Vanth. Cobb Vanth then becomes the sheriff on Tatooine, and he's going to like Mos Eisley and all these different towns, and he's trying to clean up Tatooine. That might be a reason why we don't see much crime going on. Like, we go into the original cantina. Obviously, the bartender's not there no more, probably because the actor passed away a long time ago. But we have the droid there, and you can see the cantina is not that, like there's not that much going on in the cantina. It's very quiet. So has Cobb Vanth been there to clean up Mos Eisley? Because right now, Cobb Vanth is running around Tatooine dressed as Boba Fett, taking out all these different crime syndicates and stuff that's going on Tatooine. So me as as a major novel reader, I'm like, is Mando gonna run into Cobb Vanth? Like, is everybody gonna think he's Boba, and then they're gonna be like, no, that's Cobb Vanth? Like, what's going on? And that kind of leads into the last 2 seconds of this episode, where we see the actress who plays an Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. as Mai, she gets shot. Like she was a waste in this episode. Oh my god. I thought she was going to be like this major Imperial trying to hunt down Mando, but she was just like a bounty, and it was a waste of time, and they just shot and killed her. I thought that was a complete waste of her character, but the last 2 seconds of this episode shows this caped figure walking toward her corpse and then kneels down. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, you can look at this 3 different ways. People that don't read the books are going to think, oh, could that be Boba Fett? People that do read the books could be like, oh, is that Cobb Vanth? And then I think the most likely scenario is always the simpler scenario, right? Like a lot of people go into these movies, like these Star Wars movies, right? They go into Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and they expect like all this crazy stuff to happen. And usually, I always like to tell everybody the simplest answer is usually the right answer. And I think the simplest answer is that's probably Esposito's character. We know he's in the show. We know he's playing like a former Moff. We see him flying a TIE fighter. I think the simplest answer is probably just Esposito's character finding her corpse, because he's probably hunting Mando and he's like just following the trail to lead him to Mando. So I think the simplest answer is the correct answer. I think that at the end is Esposito's character. Would I love it to be Cobb Vanth? Absolutely. But where does that lead us? Like Mando's no longer on Tatooine. We don't know if Mando's going back to Tatooine. Cobb Vanth ain't leaving Tatooine, so it would be irrelevant at this point to say that that is Cobb Vanth, unless somehow Boba Fett kills Cobb Vanth and takes his armor back, but then that's a whole other canon debate. But in this episode, I see a lot of people going, well, not a lot of stuff has happened in this episode, and kind of, you're right, but nah. I mean, we got a lot of fist bump moments, right? We got to see an awesome starfighting scene. We got to go back to Tatooine, back to Mos Eisley. We got to go back to the cantina. We got to see the pod droids. I forgot what the fuck those things were called. You know, the one that kicked Jar Jar in the dick. We got to see those again. So that was like a nice prequel. So we got a sequel and a prequel nod. Like, yes, it was just over. I'm like, man, can we see Watto? Can we see Watto? We didn't see Watto, but we might see him in the Obi-Wan show. But it was just a pretty solid episode for nostalgia. The one thing that did take me out was the CW dude. Right? Like CW James Franco. That's what I'm calling him. Like, I did not believe he belonged in the Star Wars universe. Like, this dude has clean cut, he's clean shaved. He's got the one earring on one side, and he's just sitting there. I'm like, dude, he looks like he belongs in like an episode of Arrow or something. I was like, this dude doesn't belong in Star Wars looking like that. And this dude definitely doesn't seem like he belongs in Mos Eisley. So like that took me out. The diet version of James Franco from CW kind of took me out of the show, but I liked that we got to see some of this classic stuff, man. Tusken Raiders, Dewback, like that stuff kicked ass, right? It was the little things, right? I tell everybody, it's so easy to dwell on the things you don't like. But with Star Wars, I like to look at the stuff I did like. And I remember just sitting on the couch just a few minutes ago. I'm sitting there drinking my coffee, and I see Welcome to Mos Eisley Airport. I'm like, oh my God, it's Mos Eisley. Then we get down there, and I'm like, oh my God, it's those little pot droids. And then I was like, oh my God, it's Tusken Raiders. It's a Dewback. So there were so many things that I loved as an old school Star Wars fan. But overall, I guess you can kind of say this really didn't push the narrative all that much. I can't really argue with that unless I completely missed something. But overall, I enjoyed the episode. I liked the old callbacks to all the stuff from the past. I liked that. Really wish we would have got to see that Cobb Vanth interaction. That would have been awesome, but then you would have to take a lot of time to explain that for the people who haven't read the novels. So as a novel reader, I understand why they didn't go that route, and I do think that the simplest explanation is the correct one, that is Esposito's character hunting down Mando that we get a glimpse of at the end. But anyway, guys, I want to know what you guys think. Be sure to leave your comments in the comment box below. And until next time, as always, I am Robert Storms, and that's my opinion.